Hello, Internet. This is JB Squared, and this is a wrestling review for WWE Raw for the week of March 25th, 2013. And what we're going to be doing here is I'm going to just run through, starting at the top of the 3-hour program. 3 hours. We're going to do it, though. We're going to go through the whole program, segment by segment. So, yeah, I'll just give you my opinion on it, so let's get started. The show opened with CM Punk coming out with Paul Heyman, and I thought it was a great segment. Punk said a lot of great things. Punk always is really great on the mic as far as I'm concerned. I really like the work that he does. One thing that did catch my attention, and I got some notes here, let's take a look at it, is this goofy fucking thing that Michael Cole said, like, 2 minutes after the show started when Punk was coming out. He said, the urn is the sacred talisman of the Undertakers, the urn that Punk absconded with a few weeks back. Who the hell talks like that? Nobody talks like that. Why would you put that on there? If I wasn't a wrestling fan already and I just happened to see this show starting and I would change the channel to that and I heard that within the first 2 minutes of the broadcast, I'd be like, what the fuck is he talking about? And I would turn that stupid shit off. So that was just stupid. Punk came out and, you know, he's always good on the mic talking about, the urn is the source of the Undertaker's power, supposedly. I love how, this is like the supernatural element that they used to do with Undertaker back in the day, like early 90s. And they used to make believe that it had some sort of mystical power, which is great to think about when you're a kid, but when you're an adult, you realize it's just stupid bullshit. And it's just funny to see Punk being the character that he is, this more serious wrestling character, try to talk about that kind of supernatural kid stuff. But he did a good job. He made it serious. And then he just said, it doesn't mean a damn thing to me, and then he threw it on the ground or on the mat, and that was hilarious. I thought that was great. I also loved the ECW chant that came out at one point. That was pretty hilarious. And then when Undertaker came out and actually attacked Punk, I thought that was really good, because usually with these WrestleMania feuds in the weeks leading up, they keep the opponents physically so far away from each other, like they can't barely fight at all. You might get one finisher done at some point throughout the run, but they'll very rarely attack each other like that. Especially Undertaker, because he's an older guy. So it was really cool to see him come out and just start attacking Punk. So I was pretty happy with that. I thought they did that really well. One good thing I also remember was Heyman taking off with the urn. Heyman just grabbed the urn and just fucking took off up the ramp, and he looked hysterical. It was great. I loved it. And one thing that was kind of weird, though, is Punk was kind of making it sound like the Undertaker was vulnerable for the first time because he stole the urn from him, which is a little weird because, again, back in the 90s, everybody used to take the urn from the Undertaker. That was like the main thing that got the Undertaker pissed at people. You take his urn, and he's going to come after you, and you got a huge feud with the Undertaker now. So this has been done before. It just probably hasn't been done in like 15 years, maybe. So it was a little weird that they tried to pretend like that never happened before. But that's the WWE. That's what they do. That's wrestling in general, but WWE is a little worse with it, I think. So anyway, next segment. Fandango, or however the fuck you say his name, came out. And his entrance is fucking stupid. It's like 5 minutes long, and I usually skip the entire fucking thing. But this time, I watched the Pyro, because I guess this is the first time, I'm not sure if this is the first time it's been on or not, because I skip a lot of the stuff that this guy's a part of. His little, dancing dude in the middle of the ring, just seeing the little poppers go off and the little fireworks come out was really lame. It looked cheap. It looked stupid. And they gotta get rid of that as soon as possible, in my opinion. So anyway, a match coming up for WrestleMania that they just made that night is going to be, and this is a little out of order, but it's going to be Jericho versus Fandango at WrestleMania. And although I hate the character of Fandango and I hate his entrance and all that shit, I've actually read and heard that he is a good wrestler outside of the WWE. He's done a lot of good things. I can't think of his name outside of the company at this point. But he is a good wrestler, and Jericho is a fantastic wrestler, so it should be a good match at WrestleMania. But I'm really disappointed because Jericho is he's a superstar. He is a main event guy. He's a great wrestler. He's great on the mic. You know, people love him. I don't understand why WWE isn't doing more with him. Why bring him back 2 months ago to stick him? They literally threw this match together in like 10 fucking minutes, it feels like, because there's very little build up to it. I think they just started building this like last week. And this is WrestleMania, and this is one of your top talents. And he's like been there for a while, so he's done a lot of good stuff for you and your company, and you're gonna throw him in some garbage fucking match. Not that the match will be garbage, but the story and the build up to it is just fucking ridiculous. I mean, this Fandango guy, this is his first match in the company, and you're gonna put him at WrestleMania for his first match, and you're gonna be putting him against a guy that has done so much for your company and he's always worked his ass off. That's fucking stupid. Jericho should be going for a belt or in some sort of main event feud. Having him in this kind of a match is a little ridiculous, and I think it's a waste of his talent, and I'm really disappointed with that. Anyway, moving on. We had Dolph Ziggler versus Chris Jericho, and that was a good match. I mean, those two are great workers, so you put them together, you're going to have a good match. Just like their feud around SummerSlam, I think. The match was short, though. It had to be because there was so much garbage on the fucking program that was Monday Night Raw. It was nice to see Jericho use the walls of Jericho, the Lion Tamer, the real thing, not the half-ass thing where he does this goofy-looking fucking cheap Boston Crab. It was the real Lion Tamer where he's got his legs up and he's arching back on the guy. And that was cool to see. That he does not do that very often, I think, because most guys don't have the flexibility to allow him to do that maneuver, but Dolph Ziggler is pretty good at selling every move, so that was cool. But then that leads into Dolph Ziggler tapping out. Dolph Ziggler lost clean to Chris Jericho leading into WrestleMania. Let me talk about that. Dolph Ziggler is a great worker. He is a great worker, great on the mic. He doesn't get a lot of mic time on Raw. What I've seen him on is that YouTube WWE show that he was on. I don't even remember what that was called at this point. And also on Zack Ryder's YouTube show when he had it. He made appearances on there pretty frequently. And he was really good on there. And I don't understand why the WWE doesn't do more with him. I mean, this is going into WrestleMania, and he's losing this match. Not only that, but he loses all the fucking time. I mean, pretty much since he's gotten together with that douchey Langston guy and AJ, which I think happened back in January, maybe even before that, I don't remember. Pretty much ever since he's formed that little stable of people, he's lost almost all of his matches on Raw, at least, since that time. And I mean, that's just fucking stupid. Why are you driving him so deep into the dirt like that? It is so annoying. It's very frustrating. And now he's in this tag match with Big E Langston for WrestleMania against Daniel Bryan and Kane, and that doesn't make any fucking sense. He's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. Why the hell would he want the tag team titles with some newcomer guy that's, again, this is his first match ever and is going to be at WrestleMania, and Ziggler's going to be teaming with him? It's just fucking stupid. It's another waste of excellent talent. The guy should be in one of the title matches at WrestleMania, or he should at least be fucking cashing in that Money in the Bank, but they haven't even hinted at the fact that that's going to happen. In fact, they've kind of been pushing you against that idea because they keep saying now, they're bringing it up that, oh, he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase until the next Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which is closer towards the summer. So they're like, he's got those few extra months yet to cash that in. So it's almost like, guess what, fans? It's not going to happen at WrestleMania. No, instead you're going to get Jack Swagger versus Alberto Del Rio, which is going to be fucking shit stains. So, whatever. Let's move on, because that's just going to get me frustrated. So Dolph Ziggler lost clean, but then Big E Langston got in there and attacked him. And then Fandango came out and did his little leg drop, and I think he beat him up a little bit. It was okay. It was nice to see him come out and sort of do something with this feud that really doesn't have much going for it. However, I have to point out that after the leg drop, Fandango grabbed the mic and like said his name or something, but you could hear Jericho from the mat coaching Fandango. He was giving him words of advice, telling him exactly what to do. You could hear him say, don't say anything, just wait, okay, now say it. And then he said his name, and then when he was done, you could hear Jericho say, okay, now look down at me, stare down at me, and be pissed off. So that was pretty funny to hear. Jericho, he's a great guy. He works with the young talent, and he's always helping them out. That's a pretty well-known fact. But I guess the mic was just a little too close to the action, and that got picked up on. But, it was still alright. So, what else happened? There was a backstage segment where the Shield attacked Big Show, Randy Orton, and Sheamus, or they all just kind of came together and fought, and that was alright, I like that. I think they're doing a pretty good build-up for that match at WrestleMania. I have a little bit more to say about that, but we'll get to that when we get to another segment that had them in it. So next up was Mark Henry versus an Usos, or both Usos, the UC. I don't know. I didn't care. I skipped the fucking match because I don't care about it. And there was Alberto Del Rio versus Antonio Cesaro, and you know what? I skipped that match too. Because I do like Antonio Cesaro. I think he's pretty cool. And Alberto Del Rio, I like to watch him when they've got a good story with his character that makes the match interesting. But I knew this match was just going to be a way to put over the Del Rio swagger thing, which I think is fucking stupid. So it just had no relevancy for me, so I skipped the match. So, yeah, I just didn't watch it. But I do like Antonio Cesaro. And I have a little bit of a cold, so, pardon me for doing the sniffing and the coughing if that comes up. Next up was Kane and Daniel Bryan versus the Primetime Players. It was a match. It was okay. They pretty much the Primetime Players are one of the only fucking teams left in the tag team division. They put the tag team division together a few months ago, and they built it back up. They had like 8 teams going, and it looked pretty strong. They even had a tag team tournament, which they haven't done in forever. And now almost all of them have been fucking disbanded, except for like the Primetime Players and Rhodes Scholars. And I'm really only counting those two. The other ones that don't have the belts, they're barely on the shows, so they don't really count. WWE doesn't give them a chance. So the match was okay, Then we get to the Triple H segment, where he just comes out and pretty much all he says is he's going to kick Brock Lesnar's ass at WrestleMania. And yeah, I'm not really into that match for WrestleMania. But they're hyping the shit out of it, though. Holy crap, there is huge video packages for it, like every week. They put a lot of production time into this fucking match for WrestleMania, and I'm not really that excited about it. And from what I've been reading on the boards on the internet, just not a whole lot of interest, it seems, from a lot of people. I mean, maybe the common everyday fan, or I should say the common everyday guy that only watches wrestling for WrestleMania will enjoy this match because they didn't see the SummerSlam match, which was only okay. And I mean, it's just such a weird thing to say that Triple H is going to retire, because he was kind of already in retirement, but then he brought himself back out only for Paul Heyman to go and say, I'm going to put you back in retirement, or this will be your last match. Didn't that already happen at SummerSlam? I don't know. I'm going to be putting together a WrestleMania preview video for next week after Raw, and I will go into that a little bit more on that video. So next up was Wade Barrett versus The Miz. And the match was alright. It was a pretty good match. Except the crowd chanted boring for a pretty lengthy part of the match. They were chanting boring. It was a good minute-long chant. And whenever that happens during a match, it just fucking just drains any energy out of it. It just brings it down. You feel bad for the guys in the ring who are working hard, if they're working hard, and those guys were. But the problem is, there just wasn't much to get behind in that match. I mean, it wasn't... The storyline for it was so meh. You know, it just... Even though they're putting on a good match, there's nothing there. And when it's WrestleMania season going into the biggest pay-per-view of the year, you expect something big from every match. And when you get something like this, and it was a long match too. I was surprised it went on for as long as it did. And the crowd was not getting into it. And it's just... It was so hard to get any energy up for it, because it's so haphazardly put together. Like, the majority of the undercard is going into WrestleMania at this point. So, yeah, the match was good, and they were working hard, but there just was no energy or excitement for it. And then The Miz won, and everybody was like, oh, now he's in the title hunt, the Intercontinental title hunt. So what does that mean? Does that mean at WrestleMania they're going to do the exact same fucking match again? That's only 2 weeks away at this point. Why would I want to watch the same match at the pay-per-view again? You just had it. Like, you're going to do it again? Really? Is it going to be on the pre-show? You're going to take The Miz and put him on the fucking pre-show? And Wade Barrett? He's another guy that should be doing more. It's just disappointing. It's not... They're not where they should be. Again, WWE's lack of... Not using their talent properly. Because they have a lot of talented guys, and they shit all over the majority of them. Alright, so next up we had The Shield versus Great Khali, Zack Ryder, and that other guy. He's from like South Africa or something. I keep wanting to call him Jamie Noble, and that's not fucking it. I know it's not Jamie Noble. I know who that is, but I can't remember what the hell his name is at this point. So, it was great to see Zack Ryder on TV. I'm a huge Zack Ryder fan. I got the Broski T-shirt on. I'm a big supporter. Even though you're pretty hard pressed to find him nowadays if you're not watching Superstars online. So, if you're a Zack Ryder fan, watch out. The WWE will fucking shit all over your hopes and dreams. Anyway, the match didn't really matter. I didn't even know who won the match. I think it was a disqualification. The big thing was the triple power bomb at the end on the Great Khali. That was pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen, or at least it's been a long time since Khali's done anything like that. So to see him take a huge bump like that was pretty cool. It was all just a big setup. A big setup for Big Show, Randy Orton, and Sheamus to come out and attack them, and it was pretty cool to see that. To see the Shield finally get cornered, I think they've done a really good job. This is one of the few things that WWE has done right lately. Is the working of the angle for the Shield. They're pretty much unstoppable, undefeated at this point. They've done a really good job building them up as a trio of villains. And then to see them finally get cornered after months and months was pretty cool. And it's been a good workup for the match at WrestleMania between those guys. Except for the fact that Big Show should not be in the match and Ryback should be in there. Because Ryback got his ass handed to him by the Shield like several pay-per-view matches in a row, or at least big title matches in a row. And, like, where's his revenge for that? He never got his comeback on those guys. When the hell is that going to happen? Is it ever going to happen? I don't know. I guess it's just not going to happen for WrestleMania. It kind of makes sense to me that you would put something like that that's been building for so long, have it cap off at WrestleMania. But no. They had to put Big Show in there because he's not doing anything for WrestleMania, and like I said, they're just fucking throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And you know what? Big Show's so fucking huge that he's stuck, and he's just in that feud. So there you go. What's Ryback gonna do for the Shield? I don't know. Probably gonna be the next pay-per-view after WrestleMania. We'll see. Next up was the Rhodes Scholars, and Rhodes Scholars versus Tensai and Brodus Clay. Yeah, that's right. You know what? I skipped it because I don't give a shit. So next up, they made an announcement that Arnold Schwarzenegger will be inducting Bruno Sammartino into the Hall of Fame, and that's pretty cool. Bruno Sammartino is like a legend in the business. He was the guy for a very, very long time, way back, and that's pretty cool. And to see Schwarzenegger come out and induct him, I think the fans are going to really go crazy at the event. And it's just going to be a pretty cool moment, I think. So that's pretty neat. Next up was AJ versus Caitlyn, which they kind of threw together backstage again. And yeah, I skipped that one too because I didn't give a shit. I pretty much don't watch the women's matches on WWE programs because they're just awful. I mean, they're really awful. And I'm not even skipping that much because most of them are like a minute long, maybe. Which I think is what this was. And are they going to do a women's match at WrestleMania? I don't know. I don't think they did one last year, so I'm not really expecting it. They pretty much just gave up on the Divas division for WWE. So whatever. If they don't give a shit, you know, how am I supposed to give a shit if they're not putting anything into it, right? Okay. So then we had the main event. It was the John Cena Rock segment. I think it was called Point Counterpoint. I think that's what it was for this week. Or it was last week. I don't remember. But it was a big just talking segment. And I'll say I really liked it. I enjoyed it. You know, I hate John Cena. John Cena, the character. And I like John Cena, the person's fine. But the character is ridiculous. But I thought in this segment he did really well. And The Rock is almost always pretty good, except when he was fighting CM Punk. In his feud with CM Punk, The Rock kind of got owned a couple of times. But in this segment, he did really good. And John Cena was talking about winning the big one, or not being able to win the big one. He went into the main event last year at WrestleMania, and he couldn't get the job done. He just couldn't beat The Rock, no matter how hard he tried. And it just ruined his life, and all this other bullshit. And that's what it is bullshit, because let me tell you something. Wrestling is scripted. You know, whether you win or lose the big one, it doesn't matter. It's what happens after that. Are you still gonna be in that main event, or are you going to go away for a little bit? Are you going to drop down and do some other kind of feuds for a little bit? And wrestling for the title does not necessarily mean the main event, as Punk showed for the majority of the fucking year last year. So even though John Cena lost at WrestleMania, and he lost the majority of the big matches that he had throughout the year on pay-per-views and everything, the problem is he never went away. He never took a break, so the fans never got a break from John Cena. He was always there, always cutting his goofy fucking promos, and being in that main event, closing out the shows constantly, and it was just fucking annoying. He doesn't go away, and if he never goes away, and he never takes a break, then the fans never get to have this little breather from his goofy fucking ass. So to say that he lost the big one, you're still in the main event though. The WWE still has you written in there to be the guy constantly. Why couldn't they take you away for a little bit and have you do something else, or just go on a break for like a month, just disappear, and then you could come back and say, man, I really took that loss hard, but now I'm back, and now I'm gonna try to even harder. I'm even hungrier than ever. But no, he just kept coming out and doing more. And after the loss at WrestleMania last year, he went on to beat fucking Brock Lesnar, by the way. So I don't think he was banged up that bad. I don't think he took that loss that tough. But that's not what they're saying. They're trying to sell it the other way. So what else? Rock pretty much owned John Cena. I remember after that first question, I don't remember exactly what The Rock said, but I remember it was pretty cool. So, you know, if you're going to watch any part of Raw from Monday night, I would definitely check out that final segment. It was really good. And then something else I wanted to point out was they had the Hall of Famers there. They were the ones asking the questions. And then Cena would respond, and then Rock would respond, and then another Hall of Famer would ask the next question. And Bret Hart, I think slipped up, and he called the wrestling fans, WWE fans, he called them fans, instead of calling them the WWE Universe, which is what the WWE calls them all the time. It is so annoying. So annoying to watch a broadcast, a 3-hour Raw broadcast, and hear the phrase WWE Universe used constantly. It's fans. Just fucking call them fans. You don't have, like, NFL doesn't call their fans the fucking NFL Network or the NFL Universe or whatever. They're fans. You know, baseball doesn't call them the MLB Squadron. You know, it's fucking, they're fans. They're Major League Baseball fans. And this is World Wrestling Entertainment fans. They're not fucking WWE Universe. Just call them fans. Why you gotta separate yourself like that? Fucking WWE is stupid. It's fucking ridiculous. It's pissing me off so much every time I hear that. I love it when I love it when the older guys call them fans. Because back in the day, that's what they called them until like 5 or 6 years ago. Then they were like, well, you know, we'll call them WWE Universe. Why? Because. Anyway. One thing I really like that Cena did is that he pointed out last year at WrestleMania that he lost to The Rock because he tried to do the People's Elbow. I thought that was pretty cool. Because it seemed weird at the time that he would even try to go for the People's Elbow. Because that's so out of character for John Cena to taunt somebody like that. So to see him go for the People's Elbow, and then have him lose because of that was pretty cool. But they never brought it up last year or at any point throughout the year. And John Cena even said that this is the first time he's ever mentioning this. He lost because he got cocky and tried to go for the People's Elbow. And The Rock was like, "What are you talking about? I kicked out of everything you threw at me, and I was going to kick out of that if you did that too. So I just beat your ass." So that was pretty cool. And Cena seemed a lot more aggressive last night too. He seemed a little more heel-ish than normal. He was not heelish, but he was definitely, instead of so far over to the right, he was more in the middle last night, and that was pretty cool to see. That very rarely happens. I've only ever seen that happen with like him versus CM Punk. I'll back at like Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I think, when Punk first became huge. So it was pretty cool to see him be a little more aggressive, I guess. Is that going to be a heel turn? I don't think so. I think anybody that's thinking that, and there are people thinking that if you go out there, and look at the boards and everything, they're talking about it. But you know what? They talk about it all the fucking time. And every single time they're wrong. And do I think they're going to be wrong again this time? Absolutely. John Cena's not going to turn heel. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen until he gets super old, like Hulk Hogan, and then he'll turn heel. And then will he stick around for 20 years after that heel turn? Probably. John Cena seems like that kind of guy. But anyway, I don't think the heel turn's going to happen. I think that this segment was really, really good. Like I said, check that segment out if you're not going to watch any part of Raw, because it's tough to sit and watch 3 straight hours of that bullshit. So the segments you definitely want to check out are the end segment with John Cena and The Rock, because even at the end there, Rock came and gave him the rock bottom. That was pretty cool. You know, John Cena looked like he was going to hit the FU. Yeah, I'm calling it the FU. So you know what? There it is. So he came out and he countered, The Rock countered the FU and gave him the rock bottom. That was cool to see. Again, these guys mixing it up before the WrestleMania match. That adds something to the build-up, I think. So check out that segment. Check out Undertaker Punk segment at the beginning. That was really good. In the middle, boy, that's a little tough. Dolph Ziggler vs. Jericho. Definitely check that out. Yeah, that's about it. So out of that 3 hours, you could probably get away with watching, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes of it. That Rock Cena segment was like a half an hour. I mean, that fucking segment took forever. But it was good to watch. It was fun to watch. So anyway, that's about it. This has been JB Squared with a wrestling review, and I will come back next week with my WrestleMania preview. So keep an eye out for that. All right. Thanks.